President, please be seated. The court is back in session. And before giving the floor to the defense team, the Chamber would like to make an oral ruling. This morning, the Chamber asked the parties if they had any observations in relation to the latest change in schedule. The OCP requested that the testimony of the next witness 2 TCW 932 be postponed until tomorrow's hearing to give them the opportunity to prepare. The other parties also observed that they would benefit from having additional time to prepare for the witness and prepare the documents. Considering the very short notice with which the change in schedule was notified to the parties, the Chamber grants the request and decides that 2 TCW 932 will be heard starting tomorrow afternoon from 1:30 p.m. I would like to know whether any judges have questions for this witness. If you have, you may proceed now. Judge Lawrence, you may proceed.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, President. Good morning, Mr. Witness. I indeed have a few questions to ask this morning to bring some clarity to some of your answers that you've given during your testimony. If I understood correctly, you said this morning that your parents had been evacuated. Is it true to say that your parents were in the region of Kampong Chhnang and they lived near the airfield construction site?
Answer. My parents were living about 20 kilometers away from the airfield. They were perhaps evacuated in the 1975 or 76. They were transferred to Battambang. They were put in cooperatives. I knew about this from my relatives. So for those who had tendency with the former regimes were transferred to Battambang.
Est-ce que les gens
Those who lived near the construction site, were those people transferred?
Answer. People living close to the airfield were not transferred elsewhere. They were living about 1 kilometer away from airfield. There was no evacuation of these people living close to the airfield. And as for my parents, because they had been affiliated with the former regime, they were transferred to Battambang province. My family, siblings, my parents were transferred to the northwest zone.
I would like to ask you a few questions on the training sessions to which you participated on issues of military discipline. Do you recall attending training sessions on those topics?
Answer. Yes, I could recall it. During the training were held at Tapik village, and military disciplines were discussed in the meetings. We were told to listen to the lines of the party, and we were prohibited from wandering around. And such military disciplines were discussed. We were instructed to listen to the party, and we had to comply with the party's principles. This is what I know and what I recalled from the meetings.
Do you recall the date at which you started participating to such training sessions?
Answer: I cannot recall the dates. I do not know when the trainings happened. I joined and attended the trainings in Premich village. My squad units instructed us about the military disciplines.
You just mentioned the sessions in Premich. I would like to read what you said on that. Could you first tell me, though, were those training sessions given before the 17 April victory or after 17 April 1975?
Wow.
The sessions were held before the 17 April. It was before the 17 April.
This is what you said in your document E3/5273 in French, page 00355855, English 00290499, and in Khmer 00282940 to 41. I had participated beforehand to training sessions of the Communist Party of Kampuchea in Premich, in Kampong Speu province, which were taught by the unit leader. What was discussed was the strengthening the spirit and respecting the party. The command planned, and no objection whatsoever. They said that anyone who opposed would be smashed, which meant that they would be killed. Before 1975, in my unit, people who did not abide by the discipline were smashed. Were smashed as well people who were accused of being spies of the KGB or the CIA, or those who had been accused of moral offenses. At the time, to smash people, they would blindfold them and then took them to be killed, and then buried them in pits. I would first ask you if you confirm this statement that I just read to you.
Answer: yes, I could recall my statement. It is true, so what I said.
Vous vous souvenez du nom du chef de...
Do you remember the name of the squad leader? who gave you these instructions, and how many were you to have received such instructions?
Answer: I do not remember it. I do not remember his or her name. And 20, perhaps 10 or 20 of us attended the sessions. 2 groups were in the sessions. I do not recall my squad chief's name. I do not know his name. I could not recall it.
Est-ce que
Was this long before 17 April 1975 or just before that date?
Answer: it was long before that period. Perhaps it was in 1974.
c'est
Was this shortly after you joined the Khmer Rouge forces or long after you joined the forces?
Answer: after I joined the Khmer Rouge, I attended the sessions. I became a soldier of Khmer Rouge in early 1972.
donc
You joined the Khmer Rouge in 1972. Well, you became a soldier in 1972. These sessions started in 1974. Does this mean that there were changes made to the rules of discipline and that the forces were more and more strict?
Answer: yes, it became stricter and stricter, and the disciplines were stricter.
vous avez dit
And so you said, before 1975, within my squad, those who didn't respect discipline were smashed. Were you an eyewitness to this? Did you see it with your own eyes?
Answer: I did not witness the incident, but my colleagues in the same unit or squad witnessed. I was told that those who did not comply with the discipline were smashed.
et quel est
How was morale within your squad? Were you afraid? What did you feel when you heard of this?
Answer: I was afraid and terrified that I would be smashed. Since I was living in that regime, I was afraid and I had to do what I was asked to do. Committing simply a moral offense would be smashed and killed, and we did not comply and respect the disciplines of them, we would be killed and smashed.
You said the smashing at that time was that they blindfolded those people, took them to be killed, and buried them in pits. Was it something that you were told, or did you witness any arrests?
Answer: I witnessed the arrest but I did not know where these people were smashed and killed. I saw the arrest. I did not question where they were sent to. If I had to do so, if I happened to do so, I would be accused of being related to the former regime.
Est-ce que vous
Did you see any soldiers buried in pits?
Answer: I never saw it. I heard my colleagues told me that they were buried.
And this happened before 1975. After 17 April 1975. According to you, did the situation improve? Or did they worsen? Especially your feelings of fear. Were you more fearful?
The situation was becoming worse, and I was so fearful. And the situation was stricter and stricter, and if I did not comply with their instruction, I would be accused of a traitor. So I had to do whatever they wanted me to do.
And so, all instructions had to be implemented without any discussion, whatever they were. Is that the truth?
Answer: yes, that is correct. We could not refuse the instructions.
Do you remember receiving instructions that were criminal in nature?
Answer: no. I never received any instruction which were criminal in nature.
I would like, if you will, to discuss your activities at Pochentong airfield. Could you remind us how long you spent in Pochentong airport?
Answer: I came to live in Pochentong airfield in the early part of 1976 with my squad. I was there to guard the gates, and I was also asked to clear the grass. Since I was accused of being affiliated with the former regime, I was assigned and transferred to that Pochentong airfield. 10 of us went to that airfield at the first stage, as I told the court earlier.
Avant,
Before being sent to Pochentong airport, where were you assigned and what functions did you have? Were you still a messenger? And as a messenger, where were you located?
Before then, I was staying at a flat at the corner of the Pochentong airport. I was guarding the warehouse, and I knew one individual by the name Main. He had been accused of being affiliated with the former regime, and afterward I did not know where he went to.
Est-ce que vous...
Were you messenger or bodyguard for Lvey?
Answer: I used to be a messenger for a period of 1 year, after which, since I had been accused of being affiliated with the former regime, and since it was said that my father had been a former official in the Lono regime, I was transferred to the airfield, and they stopped my position as the messenger. I was away from Lvey at that time.
Quand vous étiez pris,
When you were with Lvey, did you go to meetings with him? And do you know if Lvey met leaders, any leaders?
Answer: what I know is that he went to meet the governor of the province, but at that time I was staying outside the meetings venue. I was not in the meeting. I have no idea what was discussed in that meeting.
il a rencontré le gouverneur de quelle province?
Who exactly did he meet? Which governor of which province did he meet?
He had a meeting with Sarun, who was the Kampong Chnang provincial governor, and he would meet with the governor every 1 or 2 months. I only accompanied him to the office, but I stayed outside and I did not attend the meeting.
Est-ce que vous avez accompagné Lvey pour des visites sur le site?
Did you accompany Vey when he went out to visit the Kampong Chnang airport construction site?
No, I did not accompany him to the work site because by that time I was not allowed to work close to him. There were other people who accompanied him, but usually he did not go to visit the work site. He usually remained in his office. And I personally did not know much about the visits by the leadership, as I mainly stayed at the building I worked in.
Quand vous étiez à l'aéroport de Pochentong,
While you were at Pochentong airport, did you see any leaders or officials from abroad visit the airport? And if yes, who exactly?
No, I did not see it, as I stood guard at the east of the airport site. However, once in a while I would saw a plane arrival, and I did not know who were on the plane, as I did not stay near it.
et vous n'en aviez pas entendu parler, il n'y a pas eu de discussion au sujet des délais.
And you never heard any of your colleagues talk about such visits? You never heard any of them discussing such visits?
No, I did not. They did not discuss about any visit by any delegation.
J'ai deux questions concernant
I have two questions regarding working conditions at the Kampunchanang airport construction site. You talked about working hours. My first question is whether you knew that some workers worked at the airport construction site at night.
Yes, indeed. There were many workers who worked at night and they only stopped at 10:30 p.m. and the night activities was regular. And usually they would resume the night work at 7 p.m. and stopped at 10:30.
quel type de travaux effectuait-on de nuit?
What kind of work was done at night? And was the work site lit?
Yes. And at that time, machineries were also used. For example, the soil compression rollers and other machineries. And workers were instructed to carefully screen any remaining roots on the ground. And I also saw us carrying tracks working at night. And they continued the activity until 10:30 into the night.
D'où venait l'eau que les
Where did the workers get the water they needed to use on the airport construction site? According to you, was the water good for drinking?
No, the water was not a clean drinking water. The water was transported in a big tank. And the water from the tank itself was also used to loosen the roots of trees and other grass on the ground so that workers could clean or clear the land.
Est-ce qu'il y avait des toilettes où les
Were there any toilets in which the workers could ease themselves?
No. There was neither toilet nor proper bathroom. And people had to relieve themselves in the nearby forest.
Est-ce qu'il y avait des moustiques et est-ce qu'il y avait des gens?
Were there any mosquitoes, and did some people fall sick of malaria?
Yes, there were cases of malaria as people did not have a mosquito net to sleep in.
Est-ce que vous pouvez nous décrire quels étaient les symptômes les plus fréquents?
Can you describe to us the most frequent symptoms that could be observed among the sick?
The common symptoms were fever, and it also happened in my unit members. Usually they had high temperature and fever, and there were no medical staff on site. And people who were seriously ill were sent to a hospital. But on the work site, there was no medical staff, and rarely any medicine was given to the sick people.
Est-ce que certains travailleurs avaient les membres enflés?
Did some of the workers have swollen body parts or limbs, and did some of them suffer from diarrhea?
Yes, there were cases of swollen limbs, of high temperature and fever. The latter was the common symptom, and it happened in almost every unit.
Avez-vous vu ou avez-vous entendu parler
Did you see or hear about workers who died of exhaustion on the work site?
No, I did not witness that. However, I witnessed workers who were hit by rock fragments from the explosion, and they died on the spot. But I could only tell you from what I saw from the location that I worked, as we were not allowed to wander around.
en dehors des travailleurs qui recevaient des éclats?
Apart from workers who were hit by rock fragments when rocks were blasted, did you see or hear of other types of accidents?
No, I did not. And I did not hear about any other kinds of accidents on site.
Tout à l'heure, quand il était question des
A while ago, when we talked about discipline, you referred to the kinds of sanctions or punishments imposed on people who were guilty of moral misconduct. Can you clarify what you mean by moral misconduct?
Moral misconduct meant people having sexual intercourse illegally or out of the marital status.
Si quelqu'un était surpris en train
If anyone were caught eating something he or she had taken or stolen, was that considered as a crime, an act of moral misconduct?
Yes, that was an offense. If someone was caught stealing, he or she would be accused of violating the disciplines.
Vous avez également parlé des gens qui
You also talked about people who are accused of being members of the CIA or the KGB. Can you tell us what you understood the CIA or the KGB to mean?
To my understanding, KGB or CIA agents are those infiltrated spies. That's what we were told. It means that they worked for this or that organization, although in fact none worked for any other agencies, but they were accused anyway. And sometimes they were also accused of being agents for the Vietnamese, and they had been arrested and smashed. And at that time, it would be even considered an offense when we simply talked to one another. We would be criticized for that.
Quand on parlait de la CIA, est-ce que vous savez au profit de qui on était censé espionner?
When they talked of spying for the CIA, for whom exactly were those people considered to be spying for? What is the CIA?
Those who were accused of being CIA agents means they were accused of working for the United States of America.
Et ceux du KGB?
How about the agents of the KGB?
For the KGB agents, they were accused of working for the Vietnamese. That's what we were told.
Et est-ce qu'on accusait les gens d'être à la fois
Were people accused of being agents of both the CIA and the KGB, or they were accused of being agents of either the CIA or the KGB?
After people were accused, they would be arrested. And the people who were arrested were not aware of any offense that they had committed. They knew nothing at all about what a KGB or a CIA agent was. Once a person was accused, the person would not be spared.
Est-ce que vous saviez
Did you know at the time when people were arrested that the charges made against them were unfounded?
Yes, indeed. But how could we tell them so? We was only a small fish and we could not do anything, and the accusation came from the upper level, and we simply heard about the accusation of someone being a KGB or CIA agent or spy, and most of the accusations focused on being a CIA or KGB agent.
Est-ce qu'on vous a demandé, monsieur, de rédiger
Mr. Witness, were you asked to write your biography? Were people frequently asked to write their biographies?
It was the group chief who made our biography, and in other cases, the chief did not ask us about our personal background. They would actually inquire about our background at our native village. Or they asked our former neighbors about our previous role or position. And as in my case, they made inquiry somewhere, and later on they knew that I had a tendency with the former regime, and they removed or they withdrew their confidence in me.
Le mot confiance est un mot que vous avez.
You have often used the word confidence or trust, sir. At the time, were there any of your colleagues or other people who could enjoy your full and unalloyed confidence?
No, there was no such case. No one was fully trusted by the leadership. Because more or less people would speak to one another about this or that, and that was the case that we would risk of being accused of having a tendency.
Je ne parle pas des dirigeants.
I am not talking about leaders, sir. I am talking about you yourselves. Could you trust your colleagues? Or you were always afraid that such trust could have certain consequences?
That is the case. We didn't dare to speak truly to anyone, despite how close we were to that person. As we were afraid that later on we would face negative consequence from what we had spoken earlier to that person. And that would expose ourselves to being arrested.
Est-ce qu'au sein des différentes unités, il y avait
Within the various units, were there people who were tasked with spying on the workers?
I think there were, although I did not know which workers were assigned to do the monitoring of the activities of other workers. We were in the dark. We didn't know who was who. And maybe such an organization was done through the group chief.
Est-ce que vous savez si le fait de
Do you know whether denouncing some workers could secure for the people denouncing some advantages?
Just to tell you the truth, we did not dare say anything in this regard. We didn't dare to say about the good or the bad thing at all, and it is up to them to assess our work performance.
Est-ce que lorsque vous étiez sur le site de la
While you were at the Kampong Chhnang airport construction site, did you hear of S21 or other security centers?
I only heard of S21, but I did not hear of any other security officers. And only during the current regime that I know that S21 was a prison.
Est-ce que vous avez eu l'occasion de visiter les locaux de
Did you have a chance to visit the premises of S21, or have you had a chance to visit those premises since then?
No, I haven't made any visit to that premise.
Je vous remercie beaucoup, monsieur le témoin. Je n'ai pas de...
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. I have no further questions for you.
President, thank you. It is now time for us to take a lunch break. We take a break and resume at 1:30 this afternoon. And court officer, please assist the witness during the break time and invite him back into the courtroom at 1:30 this afternoon. Security personnel, you're instructed to take Kyusum Pon to the waiting room downstairs and have him return to attend the proceedings this afternoon before 1:30. The court is now in recess.